Assalamu alaikum and welcome dear students to online course EM 610 Risk Analysis and Management. Um, I hope you already get enrolled to the online session of Google Classroom. If not, then please get registered to the course with the code 2IASTWP, and also please share this code with the other colleagues who are not used to the Google Classroom activity. So my request will be please share this code with the other colleagues. Just like a normal lecture, will be discussion on the concepts and terminologies of risk analysis and management, and there will be a detailed discussion on basic principles of the topic, and then there will be quizzes, and as of lecture activities you have will be given a topic to prepare and submit assignments within due time, and also there will be a class presentations to be submitted by each of the individual candidate. Also there will be midterm and final term exam. Till now I'm not sure that how these midterm and final term exam will commence during these online activities. I will wait for the decision from the competent authority of Seacoast University, that they will guide us that how to continue this midterm and final term. If these lectures continues on the online, I wish this COVID-19 pandemic get over soon, so that we can have a regular classes in Seacoast University. By regular classes we can share much more because of one-to-one interaction, but unfortunately we are facing this pandemic, so because of this pandemic we have to deliver the online lectures. During online lectures, if you have any type of questions, then my request will be to please share your queries and questions via Google Classroom, or also I will request that one of you guys maybe a take initiative as a class representative and form a WhatsApp group. So by WhatsApp group our discussion can be more vigorous, such that if you have some question you can send me a voice note, and if I have a thing to discuss, then I will do the same mode, that I will record a voice message and I'll send you guys. So and this WhatsApp activity will be as a side activity to this Google Classroom. For sure I will share the lectures also on the WhatsApp group. So the lecture activity is on the WhatsApp group and available on the Google Classroom. So by this means we will have a chance to get involved to these activities, like the course activities much more, because as you know that in a WhatsApp group, if if I'm offline, then your record message will be appear as soon as I'm online, similar to my voice record messages or any of the lectures that I upload on WhatsApp group will be accessible to you when you are getting access to the internet. As usual, the marks distribution I hope it's well known to you that quizzes will have a 10 marks out of 100. The assignment will have 10 marks or 10% of your total. The class presentation will be a 5% of 5 marks out of 100. Midterm will be of 25 marks and the final term will be 50 marks. So if we accumulate all the marks, then it will comes 100. So and your grading will be out of 100. So the basic rules are very much similar to the lectures that delivered in the Seacoast University. If you miss the quiz, you will miss the marks. If you are not submitting the assignment within due date, then you will not get any marks. For sure I will give sufficient time for you guys to submit the quiz and assignment but if you miss it, then unfortunately you will miss the marks. The class presentation, I will send you the topic, and then I will request you to submit the presentation as I'm doing right now. So I'm preparing a PPT slide with the voice recording or narrative. Similarly, you can do the same thing. You can prepare a PPT slide, the topic given by myself to you, and then you can have a voice recording as a narrative to the presentation slides. Exams, I already mentioned that I'm not sure how to conduct it, but I will need the guidelines of CCOS University, and we have to follow the guidelines of CCOS University as it is. I wish that before this mid and final term activity, this pandemic is over and we get able to meet each other. One thing I would like to clear that please don't worry about the marks. And my request will be just follow the instruction, and deliver as much as you can. So, don't miss any quiz, don't miss any assignment. Whatever you deliver or submit, like in form of quiz, assignment, and the class presentation, you will get some marks of it for this activity. If you submit nothing, then for sure I can do nothing for you guys. So my request will be to please submit assignment, quizzes, and the presentation as requested. And if you have any sort of questions, then please shoot and ask. Don't hesitate. This will be my request. As a brief introduction of myself, my name is Saim Sahar, and presently I'm a professor of mechanical engineering and associate dean of CCOS University. Previously, I served as an assistant professor in the US-Pakistan Center for Advanced Studies in Energy, funded by USAID. Also, I was a visiting faculty to Arizona State University, USA, for some time. During my PhD studies, I was advisor to NWO, the research organization of Netherlands. Also, I served for almost 5 years in South Korea, the headquarters of Samsung Electronics, as a R&D engineer. And my first assignment after getting graduate in 2003, I was involved in research and development activities in NESCOM, Pakistan. The service title was Assistant Manager Technical. So that's all about my introduction. When we meet in CCOS University, I hope we will meet soon, then I will get your formal introduction that who are you, what are your intentions, what are your you want about this course, that even you can discuss in the Google Classroom that what you want, what are your motives. For sure I will deliver something by my own perspective, that what I wish to deliver about the course risk analysis and management, but I also need your perspective, that what you want. And your perspective is more important than my perspective. So I request you, please, if you want to study or analyze special tool in the risk analysis and management course, then please share, and I will try my level best to prepare the content according to your need. So that's all I have to say in the introductory class and as introduction to this course. From next slide, we'll be focusing more on the lecture activity. So let's see. Very important. Risk is everywhere in your everyday routine, and you have to make decision about to handle the risk you are facing in everyday life. In essence, in principle, risk is made of likelihood of something, and normally risk is associated with the negativity. Um, the opposite of risk is opportunity. Risk is a negative term and opportunity is a positive term. So likelihood of something negative or likelihood of something which hit you in the negative way is related to the risk, and likelihood of something which will hit you in positive way will be the opportunity. So these two terms are totally opposite to each other. Risk is a negative term and opportunity is a positive term. So in this course we will discuss the things that has a negative outcome or consequences on your activity. So risk may be small or large in magnitude, and consequently their consequences can be a low or a serious magnitude. If a risk is small, then the outcome will be a relatively not serious to you guys. If the risk is large, then the consequences will be much serious to you guys. So the broader classification of risks are low, medium and high, and corresponding consequences will be low, medium and high. So low risk has low consequences, medium risk has medium consequences, high risk has the higher consequences. In the next slides I will clear this concept by the help of some example. So please stay tuned to this lecture, and if you are hearing some noise in the background of this lecture, then please accept my apology, because I am recording this lecture in the home, and maybe sometimes my kids, I have two kids, one daughter and son, they will disturb me, and if they disturb me, then they will disturb you guys too. So please accept my apologies in advance. So as engineers, I hope most of you are engineers. So as an engineer, we like equation and formulations. So for the risk, how to transform risk into mathematical form, there are two terms, one is likelihood and other is consequence. If we know the likelihood of something and we know the consequences because of this likelihood, then we have to multiply both the terms, the likelihood into consequences, and the final product will be the risk. So this is a basic equation of formulation to analyze the risk, and it's comprised of two things, likelihood and consequence. Likelihood means occurrence or probability of event to happen, whereas consequences is related to impact of consequence. Both things, likelihood and consequences, will be clear to you guys in the next slide with the help of example. So to understand risk, likelihood and consequences, there's a classical example that I would like to share. So you can see there is a bike a bicycle, a person, and there's a road. So the person want to cross this road, but maybe this road is a bit busy because of traffic, and traffic can be of this bike or car or any other vehicle. So scenario number 1: what if a one bike or bicycle is crossing the road in every 1 minute, and this person want to cross this road? So I will repeat the scenario number 1. It's very simple scenario. Person want to cross the road, and the road is occupied by the bicycle, which passes by the person in every 1 minute. Means one bike passes in the 1 minute, the second bike will pass in the second minute, and third bike it passes in the third minute. So after every 1 minute, one bike is passing through this road, but this person want to cross this road. So what happened? We have to calculate the risk, that how much risk is involved if this person want to cross this road, and the road is occupied by bike which passes by the person after every 1 minute. So the likelihood of impact between this person and the bike which is passing by this person in every 1 minute, by logical interpretation, is very much low. Imagine if you have to cross the road, and the road and in the very same road, one bike is passing you after every 1 minute. So the chances that the bike will hit you is, by logical interpretation, is very much low. Secondly, if this bike hits you, assume if this bike hits you, and one person can say that how much will be the speed of bike. So let's say the bike speed is not much high, not much low. So it's a normal speed. The bike is running on the bike is riding is moving on the road. So if the bike hits you, what will be the consequences? The consequences of hitting this bike to you will be low. If bike is moving on the normal pace on the road, if the bike hits you by any means, then for sure, if something like a type of bike hits you, then you will get some pressure with like damage to your outermost skin, maybe, or maybe your bone any of the bone may dislocate, but nothing more than this. So the likelihood of hitting is low, and the consequences of this impact will be low. So the overall risk, if we multiply this likelihood low to the consequences low, the answer will be low. So the overall consequences or overall risk of this scenario, one bike which passing by every 1 minute, if hits the person, then the overall risk is low. Now the second example. In scenario 2, many bikes are passing in every 1 minute. Let's say 4 bikes are passing in every 1 minute to this person, and a person want to cross the road. So in this case, we have to calculate the overall risk involved to this person. So in this case, the likelihood of impact is a bit high. There are higher chances that this person will be hit by the bike. Previously, in scenario 1, only one bike passes after every 1 minute, but now at least 3 to 4 bikes are passing by the person in every 1 minute. So the likelihood of getting impact of this person to the bike is relatively high. But what happens if this person is hit by a bike and bike is moving at the moderate speed? Same as scenario number 1. The consequence of this impact will be a bit low. So what will be the overall risk? We have to multiply the likelihood with the consequences. So likelihood is high, consequence is low. Therefore, the result, the overall risk involved in this scenario will be a medium. Let's go to the scenario number 3. What if a truck is passing by the road in every 1 minute and you have to cross this road? So because truck is passing by the road in every 1 minute, so the chances or likelihood that this truck will get impacted to the person is very much low. But let's assume if this truck hits the man or the person, what will happen? Most probably the person will lose its life, because the impact of the truck with the person will be devastating. Therefore, the consequence of scenario number 3, truck hitting a person, is very much high. To calculate the overall risk, we have to multiply the likelihood, which is very much low, to the consequence, which is very much high. The multiplication of low to high will come medium. So by changing the bicycle to the truck and assume that the truck passing by this person in every 1 minute, similar to the bike which was passing to the person in 1 minute, the overall risk in the scenario number 1, when one bike is passing by a person in 1 minute, was low, because likelihood was low, consequence was low, so the overall impact was, risk was low. But in this case, although the likelihood or chances that this person will be impacted by the truck is very much low, but the consequence is devastating. So the overall result is totally different from scenario number 1. So scenario number 1, overall risk was low, but in this case overall risk is medium. Let's move to scenario number 4. Scenario number 4, if many trucks are passing by the road in every 1 minute and the person has to cross the road, what will happen? Logically, the chances of the impact between truck and the persons are very much high now, because previously one truck passing by the road in 1 minute, but now there are many trucks, like 3 or 4 or many. If they are passing by the road, crossing the person who want to cross the road, so the chances that the truck will hit the person during this crossing over are very much high. And for sure, the consequence, if any of the truck hit the person, will be devastating again. So the likelihood is high, the consequence is high, therefore the overall risk is high. If I summarize the overall risk of the scenario number 1, it was low, scenario number 2 medium, scenario number 3 medium, and scenario number 4 is high. How to avoid this road accident? We can do the remedial action by taking 2 steps. Number 1, install a road signal onto location where person is crossing the road, and also this activity has to be supplemented with the zebra crossing on the road, so that if truck is passing by the road, then from far away he can see the signal, and also from far away the truck driver may know that where he has to stop. So definitely, if any of the truck or the vehicle that passing by the signal, if they have to stop on the signal, they have to stop far before from the zebra crossing. So we have to do 2 things if we want to avoid the road accident. Number 1, installation of signal, and making strips, the black and white, the zebra crossing strips on the road, so that person can pass by the road if the signal is red. What happens if no more trucks are allowed on the road and only few bicycles are passing on the road in every 1 minute? So in this case, we don't need any type of signal and any type of zebra crossing, because the last action was happen to avoid the accident or impact between the person and the truck. In case of bike, we know that the overall impact is either low or medium, depending upon the number of bikes that passing on the road. If the number of bikes that passing on the road are much low, then the overall impact will be low. If the number of bikes are increased, then the overall risk will be medium. So if trucks are not allowed on the road, then the decision that has to be made by the city administrator has to be changed. So no signals, no zebra crossing. So why I discussed scenario number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 supplemented concept like installation of signal and zebra crossing. And if no more trucks are on the road, then we don't need signals and zebra crossing, because I have to sum up my discussion to formulate the methodology to critically analyze the risk and how to manage it. So when you have to assess the risk of any of the scenario, then and also you have to manage the risk. To manage the risk means that lower the overall risk formulation, that either lower the consequence or likelihood. So the overall risk involved in any of the scenario you are dealing with day to day, if you want to lower the risk of any of the activity you are facing in day to day can be lowered by managing the risk. So how to formulate a methodology for risk analysis and management? Number one, the first thing you will be doing, identify the risk or threat. Sometimes risks are also referred to as threat in the literature. So both are the same thing. Threat or risk, they are the same thing. So some of the literature they refer risk as a risk, and a few other they refer risk as a threat. But both the things are risk and threat. If somebody if they are telling you that risk or threat, then in your mind there will be a negative meaning of both the things. So both have the negative meanings, like risk and threat. They both, if somebody is calling risk or threat, then in your mind, back in your mind, you will have a feeling of negative thoughts about both the terms. So anyhow, the first thing that you have to identify the risk or threat. Then the second thing, you have to give value to each of the risk, as we have done in scenario 1 to 4. So first we have identified a risk, that if one bike is passing the road in 1 minute, so we have to identify the risk. So overall risk was low. If the number of bikes are more passing by the road in every 1 minute and the person has to cross a road, then overall risk will be a medium. What if the truck passing by the road in every 1 minute? Then the likelihood of the impact was low, but the consequences was it was devastating. So overall risk was medium. And if the number of trucks passing by the road are more, then the overall risk involved in this scenario was high. So we identify the risk, and then we have value to each of the risk. In last 4 scenarios, we valued by means of 2 terms, low and high. Sorry, 3 terms, low, medium and high. Then we have to manage the significant risk that is involved either in risk number in scenario number 3 or 4. So to manage the risk, we formulated the strategy. Either we have to install the signal complemented by the zebra crossing. So by doing this activity, by installing the signal and zebra crossing, we can avoid this accident. Sorry for mistake of writing the significant spells. I think it's wrong, so please accept my apology. The very last thing we have to do in a risk analysis and management, we always have to review our process of assessing risk and managing its consequences on routine basis. As I mentioned, that what if no trucks are passing by the road? If no trucks are passing by the road, then we don't need any type of signal or zebra crossing. So we have to review our risk analysis, and we by reviewing the risk analysis on regular basis, we have to formulate the strategy, how to manage and how to lower the risk and associated outcomes to the lower level So what we have done on the very last slide, that if no trucks are passing, then our review strategies: no signal and no zebra crossing. I hope you understand what I delivered in the last slides. So the core objective was to deliver the topic and the essence of the topic, that what risk is, how risks are formulated. Risks are formulated by two terms. Number one is the likelihood, also called the probability of the event, and the second thing is consequences, also called the impact of the risk. So if we know the likelihood and we know the consequence, we multiply both of these terms together, then we will get the some value for the assessment of overall risk. So in principle, by going through 4 scenarios and some complementary slides, we were able to formulate a methodology to encounter the risk analysis and management. So how to analyze a risk, how to analyze it, and how to manage it, it can be done in the 4 steps. The first step is identify the risk. Second, assign value to each risk. Then manage the significant risks, and then review your risk analysis on regular basis. So that's all for this lecture. So please go through the lecture. If you have any type of question in your mind, then please ask. As I mentioned earlier, that the essence of this lecture was to brief you about what risk analysis is, and how we have to deal with risk analysis, and what are the methodology, what is the methodology to deal any type of risk. So we have a 4-point methodology. Please keep these 4 points of the last slide in your mind, and these 4 points will always help you to identify the risk and to manage the risk your encounter in your everyday life, either at home or in the work life. Thank you for paying attention. Hope to see you in next lecture. Bye bye.